every day, huh?
I know. Oh, we're live now. Okay, right, we're live. Hi, guys. We were just looking in the chat saying there's lots and lots of people. So welcome to our regular Tuesday show. Those of you that are observant will realize that Zahir is not with us right now. He's had some bad news today. He's really not in the headspace to be having a, light-hearted chat. So our thoughts are with you, Z. You can explain what's going on in your chat on Friday. But I am happy to say I have Joe with me. Now, I've been watching Joe's videos on and off for years now, and I find them thoroughly entertaining. I've always wanted to get you on this show. So by way of an introduction to those who maybe don't watch your videos, do you want to introduce yourself and let us know?
Don't watch videos? What?
Yeah, there may be a few somewhere.
Well, I live in Colorado, outside of Denver. I've been doing eBay since eBay began. Basically, I was a kind of a hoarder, collector before that, and then eBay showed up, and we just kind of held hands ever since. And then started doing videos once YouTube showed up.
Fantastic.
I don't know what else to know.
Well, my first question was, how long have you been reselling? I guess if it was since the early days of eBay, that's what, since the 90s you've been on there?
Yeah, 99, I believe. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So that's the same year I started on there, I think. 98, 99 was when I started dabbling, very irregularly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Same type of thing. Wasn't into it nearly well, and clearly I'm not into it at your level. It's strictly a part-time hobby for me, even though I am fairly obsessed with it.
Yeah, well, that was my next question. So for you, I didn't even realize it was part-time for you. I made the assumption, I suppose, because I'm full-time, that you were watching your videos. And I found out recently that it's a part-time thing. So
yeah.
Class it as a hobby, or is it an obsession, or is it a second income? What is it to you?
You can mingle all those together, and there's your answer, I guess. It's a hobby because I love to do it, and I do it. I won't say religiously, but yeah, religiously. I mean, every Friday morning, every Saturday morning, weather permitting, I'm out there doing. I have kind of a normal route that I do. It takes me 3 to 4 hours to get through it. So I'm out at 8 o'clock in the morning, get done around noon, 1 o'clock, and I've been doing that basically that same route for probably 15 years with a few modifications to try and get other what I think would be a good residential area, roped in.
Wow, that's cool. So you must have got to know houses and homeowners and garage sale owners, and they must recognize you by now, surely.
Well, yeah. Well, and if not them, certainly the nemesises that are out there that always get to a yard sale 5 minutes before you do, and all the stuff that you would have had you been there, and then you're just pounding yourself in the head for being at that other yard sale 5 minutes longer than you should have been. I know several people along the route and several counter pickers, and so yeah, it's been a long time, and you know what houses not to go back to because they have 10 yard sales a year, and it's always the same stuff that by now they should just donate, really. So it's a live and learn kind of process.
Yeah, we had the similar thing. Obviously, we don't have so many garage sales as you know them are starting to pick up a bit in the UK, but it's all about car boot sales. But you still see those regular stallholders bringing the same crap that's by now sun bleached and ruined, and they're still churning it out week after week. And you think, nobody's going to buy this. How are you paying your entrance fee every week to tout this rubbish?
I just watched your, I don't know, it's probably a couple of shows ago now where you were at a boot sale, and it was just in this big open field, and I so want to go over there just to hit a boot sale. Is that what they typically are? Is just a big open field and people just park their cars and pull out their wares?
Exactly that. Yeah, I mean, some are on like old car parks or abandoned bits of land, so they're on hard standing, but for the most it's a farmer's field, and you pay £5 or £10 to just drive your car in and sell out the back of it. And it's a great system. It works.
Like our flea market, kind of.
Yeah, pretty much. I need to just dip in the chat because I noticed somebody has sent me a super chat. Let me scroll down. CYBK has sent me £5. Thank you so much. And the message is, it's been a long time coming. My wife hates you, filling our house with tat. But thank you for inspiring me and hundreds of others. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Wow, that's cool. I do need to see who was first in. It's become a tradition. Lee Retro Pink. Oh, Lee was in there first. Hi. And then we've got Chelsea, Gary Dunster, LDN Bricks, Kay Horsley says hi all. Peter Cummings, Andrew Robinson, Jason. All the regulars are in. Retro Pink. Oh, Lee was in there first. Hi. And then we've got Chelsea, Gary Dunster.
Sorry.
LDN Bricks.
Did you just lose me?
Kay Horsley. I can hear us talking. Have you got the chat on? Jason.
There we go. Am I still there? I started clicking on things. I wasn't able to see the chat, so I was trying to pull the chat up, and then I didn't have time. I didn't mute the volume.
Yeah, that's cool. I thought there was a really long delayed echo of me coming back somehow.
That's a long way across the pond.
So going back to, you've been doing this as long as I have, if not longer. So is your wife involved? Does she enjoy what you do? Does she take part? Where is she at?
The love-hate, mostly hate thing. She loves the extra income, and I've tried to get her involved. There was a short period of time where she had gotten laid off on a job, and I was trying to get her involved to do some auctions for me and whatnot. And she did a few, and then she's just not into it at all. So she likes the fact that it brings in extra money. She hates the fact that the house kind of looks trashy because I don't really organize as well as I should, as you've probably seen. But overall, she accepts it, and she knows it's her fate, it's her lot in life. And I figure this is part of my 401k retirement plan. You know, everything that I don't sell now, I'll be selling well into my 70s or however long it takes. And I'll never get rid of it because I'm going to keep picking anyway. So.
Exactly. And perhaps we should explain, Joe, you are at work currently, is that right? So what we see behind you is not stock or anything.
It's my stock. I have a very lenient boss. I've been with this company for it'll be 20 years this September, and he was into eBay for a while too, and I do eBay sales on occasion for the company, and he has been very tolerant with my obsession, allowing. I mean, everything that you see. Let me see if I can do this. Everything you see is all my eBay crap.
So they let you take it to work. That's amazing.
I just hope the hammer never comes down and he says, no, you're done, because I'll have no place to put anything. I'll have to get a storage unit or something, because I've got all this. I've got stuff at home, and I've got outside this wall right here. There are 2 full pallets of boxes of stuff that I just don't have time to sell. Wow.
And then I've seen videos when you're in like a basement. Is that at home? Is it?
Yeah, that's my home. That's my basement.
Okay. I'm just getting my head around the logistics of it, but that is amazing that you've got a boss who's lenient enough to let you have all of that in his workspace, essentially.
And not only that, because I'm a shipping manager here, I've got access to just tons of recyclables, any boxes I need, peanuts, bubble wrap, all stuff that normally we chuck away and recycle. I'm able to put off to the side here and use as I need. So it's pretty handy. Pretty grateful that he's as lenient as he is.
You've got it good, Joe. You really have.
Trust me, I know.
And also that the people that are watching should be aware, Joe is at work right now. So if someone comes in and disturbs, we may have to.
Yeah, I could get a phone call. I could get a knock on the door. I've closed my door. I usually have my door wide open, but I closed and put a knock first sticky note on there. So hopefully that will, I'll be able to mute things and you won't hear me getting yelled at by my boss for doing this during work.
Yeah, so we could have a side bet to see when the first interruption comes. We've managed 10 minutes.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, so far so good.
Talking of side chat, actually, so I've just had a question. Have you still got the Furby? If you mean this green guy here somewhere, yes. That was Kay. If you're interested, if you're after him, drop me a message. We can sort something out. I haven't tested him yet, but I've not had problems with most of those. So
what is that exactly? Is that an older one?
This Furby?
Yeah.
It's a Furby Boom. I think it's from a couple of years ago. They have the LCD eyes that do weird things.
Oh, I missed that very short.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's the same in the US, but they're really holding their value over here. They've stopped making them, I believe. So they were silly expensive when they were first released. So they're a good 20, 30, 40 pounds in some cases. So
something to keep an eye out for.
Yeah.
All around your shelves there and all sorts of little hints.
Yeah. Peter says there's an echo. I don't know if that's Let me know in the chat right now if there's still an echo. We'll see. I can't hear anything echoing back at my end. Oh, maybe that was when you had the sound on.
We've got that correctly.
I was going to ask as well. So your wife, shall we say, tolerates what you do and enjoys the income. You have,
That's a kind word, yes.
You have two kids, is that right?
I do have two daughters. One's 26, one's 22. They're both out of the house. One lives in New York City. One lives just outside Orlando, Florida for now. She's looking to be in LA, but we're trying to talk her out of that.
And not so much the reselling, because they're out of the house probably doing their own thing. But what do they know you have a YouTube channel, and what do they make of you talking about random tat you pick up on the internet?
I don't know if it's going to come through during this chat or not, but they tolerate me as just a crazy dad. So anything I do, they just kind of fluff it off and say, that's dad, you know. They watch my channel occasionally. My wife watches it occasionally. They don't really care that I do it overall. It's just my thing, and when I'm down in the basement, they just, you know not to make a whole lot of noise. Of course, they're out of the house now, so that's irrelevant. But they were okay with it. I actually had both my daughters at one point or another came with me on a quasi-regular basis, doing my picking runs. The only rule was they could not buy used stuffed animals because they were just too nasty to consider to take in the house. But I've got my daughter, who's 26. She's actually a curator at a museum, and I think that part of her love of artifacts came from my bringing antiques and stuff home ever since she was born. So I'm glad that stuck anyway. And my other daughter, she's into the music industry, and she's on her own. She's got nothing to do with me and my picking.
Yeah, I must say, for those who, a lot of people have joined a little bit later, as always. So a couple of people have asked again, where's Zahir is. He's had some bad news today. He's really not in the mood for chatting. So yeah, Z is not going to be with us. And this is Joe. And I just want to say again, I've been following Joe's channel. He has a reselling channel where he shares his mostly garage sale pickups. And your videos are not like anybody else's. Would that be fair to say? I think you put your own spin on them.
I would have to let you judge that. I mean, I put so much time into them. I put as much time into those videos as I do picking, for crying out loud. Some of them really take a long time, especially with software issues and whatnot. But what was the question?
It was a very loose question. I was just saying that your videos are different to anyone else's. There's nobody's channel that's quite like yours. Like you say, you put a lot of effort in. If you find, for example, I beg people to go over and check them out for themselves. But if you find like a vintage toy from the 50s, you must scour the internet for a clip or the original advert for that toy.
I would be nothing without YouTube. Yeah, that's 99.9% of my resource on all that. And I try to thank people at the end of them as loosely as I can. But yeah, it's a great resource, and the videos would have a whole different feel if it weren't for YouTube. Of course, without YouTube, then there would be no videos.
Exactly. So I think I kind of know the answer roughly to this, but what is it you enjoy picking up, and what sort of things do you like to pick up if you had the choice? What would you find at a garage sale?
I tend to always be hoping I find something from my childhood, just because it brings a little warmth into your heart, and it's like, man, why did I sell those things? I started off when I was a kid. Hot Wheels were just starting out, and I had so many Hot Wheels, it was ridiculous. I had the original ones when they first started. I had Sizzlers, I had the Tracks, I had a ton of stuff. And I think in the end, when I was a teenager and knew it all, I sold it all to a neighbor kid for like 20 bucks. And I still softly kick myself for doing that. And so I always enjoy finding anything Hot Wheels that's vintage, Redline era. I still love buying comic books and old, horror magazines, things like that. Stuff you don't find very often. I really like old Halloween stuff. My youngest daughter was born on Halloween, so in the past I liked finding Halloween stuff because it's so hot. It's such a hot item, vintage Halloween stuff. But now that since she was born, I've been putting that stuff aside for her so that she will have a collection of cool antique and vintage Halloween stuff whenever she gets her own place, and that's for her. So, but I still love getting that kind of stuff.
I remember seeing some of your pickups and videos from way back when, where you bought, like you say, just vintage Halloween items, and I think that it's different in the US. It's a real big deal. You celebrate Halloween as much as you would like Christmas. You know,
oh, it's massive, yeah.
And it's not on that level here. And I don't think there would be that much interest in vintage Halloween stuff. But I
wonder how much vintage stuff you would have there, though.
Yeah, not much, I don't think.
No, because it never was that big.
Yeah, it's growing now. I think we're kind of catching that bug from you guys, you know, and it's becoming a bigger and bigger event, people dressing up more and all of that. I remember watching, I can't remember what the item is, but being shocked at what you sold. To me, a pretty, you know, innocuous Halloween thing. I can't even remember what it was. It might have been a little puppety thing or something. And the figures you were getting just seemed insane to me. And when you pick up things like that, do you know what they're worth, or is it just this is old, I'm buying it? How do you?
Well, I don't know what they're worth. I only know that they have good value to them. I will never be sure of anything that I've never bought before, because I've struck out so many times buying things that I think will have value and wound up being, you know, something to donate to your charity shops, you know. But you just get a feeling sometimes, you know, that something is old, looks very unique, and maybe you purchased something similar to it in the past, so you can use that knowledge to, you know, throw on that item. But old Halloween stuff, I don't think I've ever missed on old Halloween stuff.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, also, when you seem to have a lot of knowledge, or is it that you have a little bit of knowledge in a lot of subjects? Is it just what you picked up along the way, or did you have a knowledge in antiques before you started this and you just used that?
No, I started off cold as ice, and just everything I've learned along the way. And it's been a fun ride, been interesting, learned a lot of stuff. You know, it's a lot of years and a lot of picking, a lot of good stuff, a lot of bad stuff, and you learn on both ends, you know.
Exactly. I heard somebody say, I can't remember who it was, I think it might have been Lonnie, another American reseller I follow, and he was saying that resellers know a lot of stuff. And if you've been doing this for a while, you can't help but accumulate lots of really random knowledge. And that's my story is so similar to yours in a way, that I started picking up things I had, like Nintendo games and stuff that I was collecting for myself, and that turned into a hobby of reselling to fund my collection, and then just reselling to make money. And I've just learned as I've gone, and I'm continually finding out new niches and learning new things and moving on and changing and adapting. I notice as well, do you is there anything that you pick up that you don't get around to selling and you are hoarding? And I think I know what you might say.
Gosh, there's so much that winds up being hoarded just because stuff gets piled on top of it. I don't know.
But what about records?
Oh God. Yeah, I do have a record or two on hand. They're just so easy to buy, and people are willing. They just want to part with them. So you get a box, a bag, whatever, of 50, 100 45s, and I'm more to do this with 45s than with LPs. Just LPs just get if the jackets aren't any good, you might as well forget about it. But 45s, to me it's like a scratch ticket. I'll spend $5, $10 on a batch of them, and there's a good chance that not one of them will be worth more than $1 or $2. But every once in a while, you get your lucky scratch ticket, and you've got a $50 to $100 record. I could easily part with my thousands of 45s that I have on hand here that are really quite worthless. And someday, they're easy to sell as a batch, just selling a lot of 50 of assorted titles, and you can get rid of them that way. But it's more work than it's worth at this point.
Yeah. I completely didn't notice. I just mentioned Lonnie, actually. He has donated a super chat. He's sent me $5, and he says, an offering to the godfather of UK reselling. I'm not sure I qualify for that title, really.
I don't know.
He says, thanks, Nick. It's a pleasure. The whole thing is a pleasure. I get to chat with people like Joe and yourself, and yeah, it's a true pleasure. There were some questions coming in for you, Joe. Let me scroll down. Lots of people saying hello. Swamp Picker's in there. UK reseller says, question to Nick and guest. Over the past month, what items have been your best sales? Are they your bread and butter items? Well, if I quickly, everybody knows my best sale for the last 15 years. That was the Atari game that sold almost exactly a month ago. Have you had any remarkable successes or notable successes recently?
Well, if you watched my last video, you saw that I picked up a bunch of beer paraphernalia, a number of bottles, and that one sign that had a big crack down the middle, had a chunk out of the edge of it, sold for $6.95, I think was the final price on that one. Just went crazy. And the same guy paid $80 for another one of those signs. The beer tin went for $2.40. So beer paraphernalia is another thing I was on the lookout for, but pretty rare. And then I've got a number of bottles. The guy who bought the big sign, I actually emailed him and asked him if he had any interest. He's mainly collecting stuff, beer paraphernalia from Omaha, Nebraska breweries. So a pretty limited window there, but I did have 2 bottles from the same brewery where the sign was from. And I sent him some pictures of that because I couldn't find any information on it. And he offered me $50 for the 2 of them. So that was a $30 purchase that is already closing in on $1,000. And I still have, there's the one Swedish brewing bottle from, I think it's from Wisconsin, that I have up there for $1,000 right now. Just threw that out there on a whim. But there's 11 people watching, so I've been dropping it just a little bit every couple of days and just waiting for somebody to jump on it. A gentleman emailed me and said, contact this guy. He knows a lot about bottles, collects bottles from that area. And I did. I actually gave him a call, and he offered me $500 for the bottle. And I said, well, I'll get back to you. So I'm not sure whether he's trying to lowball me or not. He seemed like a reasonable enough guy and nice enough, but I've heard songs like that many times. My grandma's sick. Please give me a discount. You know, my wife just died. Please give me a discount.
Indeed. But like
anyway,
you say, if you've got X amount of watches on it, you know, that there's interest there, that there's collectors that surely are looking for that. And when you said incrementally marking it down to pique people's interest, start putting it back up as well. That's counterintuitive, but it works.
I've done that. It's been a while since I've done that. That's a good thought. I'll have to maybe I'll put in my mind a certain point that I won't go below, and then start moving it back up just to see if then they'll bite, knowing that they may have missed their peak time to buy.
Exactly. Because then they're like, hang on, it's going up like $10 every couple of days now. I must buy it now. Yeah,
I'm guessing in the end they'll probably go for $700 to $800, but we'll see. But so that makes that around $2,000 on that buy. That as a bulk buy, that's probably my best bulk buy. Although all those brochures that I've been selling, that was just a crazy find. I can't believe an 8-10 page brochure about a bulldozer will sell for $50 and just get snapped up like that. I had a guy from Germany buy $200 worth of stuff from me. I had a local guy asked to come in and go through a stack of them, and I wound up getting $400 from that guy. So those are my 2 biggest ones recently, and probably will be for some time.
Yeah, that's some impressive numbers on the beer stuff. That is.
I was astounded, but not unhappy.
Indeed, I did quite well on them. I picked up a big box of car manuals from near us is Luton, and that's where they had the big Vauxhall car works. Vauxhall, I think, is owned by GM, and they had a library of manuals and service manuals and all sorts there, and they must have sold off the contents of the library at some point, because this guy had a box of 100 odd manuals, and I bought it off him for £25. And some of those in there I was getting 40 odd pounds for certain ones. There was an exam in there that you had to take to be qualified to service a certain truck or a coach or something, and just the exam sold for, I think, £40, because how many of those exist? And
it's so remarkable what people collect. It just astounds me.
Yeah. Let me see.
Car manuals are a very good thing here too as well. I tend to go for the original manufacturer ones. There are a number of off-brand sellers that make their own manuals for car repair, general car repair. But I tend to stay away from those and go with just the original manufacturers, manuals and repair guides, those kind of things. That's usually fun.
Yeah, they're great. I don't see them very often, unfortunately, but when you do, you know your money's safe if you buy them, pretty much.
True enough.
I did see, a few people asking about where Zahir is, and Lisa's answered, but yeah, he won't be joining us tonight. He's not in the right frame of mind. Well, I'm sure I saw another question. Here we go. Peter asks you, do you just sell on eBay or do you sell on Amazon? Have you tried Amazon?
Yeah, funny story. If I remember correctly, it's been so long. I was selling on Amazon for a while, probably 10, 15 years ago. And right in a row, I got 2 negative feedbacks. And the one guy, his complaint wasn't even about the product I sent him. So I knew that he had messed it up somehow. So I contacted Amazon about that, and they didn't do anything. And then I got another complaint right away. It'll lose me what it was, but same type of thing, where it was really just that guy being a jerk. So I went back and forth with Amazon a few times. I probably got a little nasty in a few of my emails, and they wound up closing my account. And I did try a couple times a few years after that to get back on, and they still had it closed. So I haven't done anything with them for some time. I'm kind of done with Craigslist because I get so many people that want something, and then you arrange something and they don't show up, or they want to lowball the item. So I guess I would say 100% eBay right now. So yeah.
And the old debate of buy it now versus auction, do you do a mix of the two?
Lately, I've been only doing sales out of my store for set prices. But the exception to that are those 3 beer signs that I just put up. But I've been mostly doing just set prices in my store for quite some time now.
Yeah. And how do you find, this is a question I get a lot. People ask me, it sounds like a simple question, but it isn't. They ask me, how do I decide how much to price something for? So what's your rule of thumb, particularly with an item that you can't find on eBay to compare with? So what's your rule of thumb with, do you pluck it out of the air? Is it from experience? How do you work that out?
Well, there's definitely some pluckage goes on. It's the thing is you mostly can find what you need to find. If you're not searching on completed auctions or sales on eBay, just Googling it, you can find prices on items. But in the off chance that you can't, I will either decide to put that item up for auction and let the free market decide, or like in the case of that beer bottle, just throw up some ridiculous price and just see what happens. Throw the crap up and see what sticks to the wall.
Yeah, I like to obviously start high because you can't really lose. If you start too low, once it's gone, you can't then change your mind quickly.
Isn't that the worst feeling when you put something up and like 10 minutes later it's sold? It's like, you've underpriced it by probably a significant amount.
Yeah. I've had that a number of times, and then you have to just accept, well, I bought it for £5 or $5 in your case, and it's like, yeah, okay, it's fine. But yeah, I can't remember what it was. I put something on recently that I imagined would stick around for ages, and it sold in minutes. What was that? Oh, it'll come to me. But it was the oddest thing, and it went like somebody was sat there somewhere in the world waiting for it, Like,
and you felt your pricing was okay?
I thought it was fine, yeah. But it would just went within minutes. That's weird when that happens, You've literally just finished it, and it pops up, and you're like, hang on, that can't be right. Yeah.
Did I forget a digit?
Yeah. Let's see if there were any other questions. I've got a few more, so that's cool. Dean's just saying there, good to see how much you have grown your channel, Nick, flying the flag in the UK. Yeah, I enjoy it. Let's have a look. Okay, if you do have questions for either me or Joe, just pop them in. If you write question in capitals, it's easier. It makes them stand out a bit. Oh, Lee's watching England beating Germany on TV. Nice. It's unusual. Right. So you touched on a bit earlier about where you source, which is garage sales, and I think everyone watching this by now has seen enough American sellers to know what that means. But how far typically would you travel? You say you've built up a route that you roughly follow every week now. So how far out do you go? Just give us an idea.
I think it's around a 30-mile loop that I do.
Okay.
Yeah. And of course, some sad weeks it doesn't take long at all. But usually I'm out there. And if things are bad, I can always, there are other areas that I will go to, but I like to, here for me, after noon, 1 o'clock, the day is done. You know, any other sale is going to be picked over, and you'd be lucky to find anything. And people are starting to wrap it up. People will say their sale is till 2, 3, 4 o'clock, but after about 1 o'clock in the heat of summer, they start wrapping it up because there's just nobody there anymore.
Yeah, we found that there was a local large village, really, or small town, you might call it. We found out they had a little, what they call like a jumble trail. It's a garage sale in a village. They all do it on the same day, and we got there 2 hours late. It was supposed to go until 4. We got there, I think, around 2, and half the stalls were just gone. They'd had enough, like you say. So even though the leaflet said it was going on till 4, it wasn't. I'm interested to know how many stalls would you typically find? I know that's weather dependent. And also, are you just going blind, or do you use those apps? I know there's apps now that you can find them on.
I've used the apps on occasion. I've done Craigslist just to kind of get I will normally check Craigslist if the weather's kind of foul or, you know, cool or whatever, and I don't think there's going to be a whole lot, or even in the early in the year or late in the year, where there just aren't as many in general, so that I can narrow down and at least hit those few and go off my path if I need to. But I just kind of look for signs. I don't use an app. I don't use Craigslist anymore. I just kind of go on my merry way and look for the bright neon signs. Yeah.
I just realized, I think in my haste to get this going, I didn't put the link to Joe's channel below. I think in the title I've put your YouTube name. So just copy and paste that now, everyone, and then you can find it. But if you're watching this after the event, there will be a link to Joe's channel.
Thank you.
Someone there, Paul's just got back from Glastonbury. Do you know what Glastonbury is, Joe?
Nay.
It's the world's biggest music festival. It's just finished in the UK. It's huge.
Really?
Massive, yeah. When it's all set up, apparently it's the size of Middlesbrough, which is a big town here. It's just,
wow,
it's a huge event. So yeah, I've never been.
I still wanted to get over. My youngest daughter was in England for 3 months, a year and a half ago, and I so wanted to get over there and walk in on your shop, you know, unannounced, but just couldn't swing it.
Yeah. I think I remember you asking me some questions when she was coming over. Wasn't that right? About yeah. How did she get on over here?
Oh, she loved it. She had an internship with a band management company called Everybody's, I think it was called, and they managed Mumford and Sons and Keen and a number of other bands that I didn't recognize. But she got to meet all the band members. She got to go on site for one of your evening talk shows. Got to meet Daniel Radcliffe. She just traveled all over the place. She just had the best time. She didn't want to come home.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, if you are ever this side of the pond, yeah, you know where I am. Well,
would love to. And I'm 1/4 English, and I do have info on several relatives from the past over there that I'd love to do. Relatives from the past, what does that mean? Relatives from the future. That I would love to do a little more research on that I can't find much on over here. So it'd be great to get over there some point.
Yeah. Just saw a question actually. Interesting one in a way. A question for you. What would be your goal in reselling? Do you have a goal? Is it just to, plod along and see what happens?
There's no goal. Although every time I leave, my wife says, get a Picasso, and then there. So that's my goal, to find one of those paintings that you hear about on Antiques Roadshow. Yeah.
I mean, you touched on earlier that, the kind of piles of shame, as people call them, are your kind of retirement investment. Is that a serious thing that if you do give up work, that you will carry on reselling and get a second income that way?
I don't have any reason not to. I mean, I enjoy it. and as long as it still makes sense and you can make money, why would you not? If it's, I mean, I love going out and yard sailing. Granted, some weeks you kind of get ticked off because there's just nothing there, and you're spinning your wheels, wasting your gas. But it's still exciting, even if you don't really get anything. And it's the hunt, I guess. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, I was talking about that subject with Zahir. There are ways I could source stock that are more reliable, that are easier. I could stay at home and source a lot of stock. I have ways of doing that. I don't really have to go out at 7 or 6 in the morning and slug around the field, but I do anyway.
Right.
And it's part of the reason I do what I do is because I enjoy it, and that's a big part of the enjoyment. So yeah, I know exactly what you're saying.
I haven't spent enough time, let me say, researching what you do on Amazon. Maybe you could give me a quick course or a quick synopsis on what exactly it is that you do that makes Amazon so the right thing for you to do.
Well, I've always sold on Amazon pretty much since we went full time, which was back in 2002. But then we were just doing merchant fulfilled. So you have the stock with you there, and when it sells, you ship it out, which I guess is how you were doing it when you were dabbling in Amazon. But what the game changer for me was when I got involved in FBA. So I send my stuff up to Amazon, and then they can ship it out to prime customers. And because I'm now selling,
can that be any kind of merchandise?
Pretty much, yeah. There are a lot of restrictions. There are a lot of categories that I can't sell in, and I tend to stick to media and toys and games. But you can command way higher prices, and they ship the stuff, across Europe for me and all of that.
So you just send them a big box of whatever, and they take care of the rest?
Exactly that. I've got a big box on the go behind me of stuff that's going up. This is all going up today. Well, maybe tomorrow now.
Wow.
And yeah, it's been quite a steep learning curve. I had a load of stuff recalled from the warehouses because there's storage fees involved, short-term and long-term storage fees, and it doesn't pay to have stuff sat on their shelves because it just costs you. And they've really clamped down on that because their warehouses were filling up with crap they couldn't sell. So it makes sense. So I had a load of stuff sent back, and now I am learning what to send that's going to sell.
So how does that? You send them. Do you have to create the detailed description of everything that you're sending them, or do they just go with a kind of generic description?
Yeah, if you imagine if you searched for that on Amazon, there would be a product page for that already. It exists in their catalog, which means I could sell it on there.
Okay, so if you have an item that they don't have catalog, they won't take that. They won't accept that.
Pretty much. I think there is a way to create your own products, but I've never got involved in that. Most of what I send up is modern barcoded stuff. So I use a scanner, or I use my phone when I'm out in the field. Scan it. Yes, it's something Amazon sell. What's the pricing? And take it from there. So it's all barcode driven.
Is that an app that you need to put on your phone to do that?
Yeah, it's just the Amazon Seller app.
Oh.
I assume is the same in the US. There are other ones. There are third-party paid ones that make it all a bit easier and stuff. But I just use the Amazon free app. And then
if nothing else, you can find out what an item is worth right away, right?
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, and find out its sales rank, which gives you some inclination of how quickly it may sell. And yeah, and take it from there. But it's
there you go.
What was that? Oh, there's another one of these bottles. These that I'm sending up to Amazon. I don't know if you saw when I picked up that van load of stuff.
No, what is it?
Quite a while back, last October, I got a van load of gear, which included 450 Swiss-made aluminium bottles of many and varied designs and shapes and sizes, and they are selling like hotcakes now.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's cool. But yeah, Amazon, it's not easy, and it's taken me a while to get my head around and work out how to play the game really with them, but it's working well now.
That's good.
Yeah.
But again, learning curve. I don't know. Maybe I'll have to give them another shot. Maybe they've forgiven my sins of the past 10, 15 years. I'll try it again. Although I've got such obscure stuff, I don't know. It would probably take a while to find an assortment of things that they actually have product pages for.
Exactly, but I mean, I've seen you picking up the kind of bread and butter stuff of like Mario Kart on the Wii and those sort of games. That sort of stuff is perfect. Fast selling, in demand video games, even retro ones. I sent up some Super Nintendo stuff, and that sold as soon as it got to the warehouse for good money, way beyond eBay prices, double prices.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's worth looking at. Have a think about it.
Okay.
Definitely. So let's see if there was another question. I thought I saw one. Oh.
I love your shirt, Nick.
Sorry?
I love your shirt.
Oh, my shirt. I don't know if everyone else can read that. You woke me for this, official Slackers Club. It's my self-employed motto. CYBK has a question for me. Let me quickly do that. How can you be sure it's profit-making stuff you're sending to Amazon? I still can't suss it out. Is it just the 2 fees that show up during the sell on Amazon stage of FBA? There's an FBA fee calculator. If you just Google that, you can work it out. I tend to buy stuff that is the selling price that I'm going to shoot for is high enough that I know there's going to be margin in it. When you get to the lower end, like things that are going to sell for £5 or whatever, unless it's a media item, there's no money in it. Once you take out the FBA fees, it's not worth doing. So you have to be thinking 10, 15, 20, 30 pounds when you're talking board games or toys and games, because the fees are that. It's quite a chunk. I wish there was a simple formula I could give you, but there isn't. So you have to, get your head around it.
How do Amazon fees compare to eBay fees?
If you're merchant fulfilling, I think it's pretty similar. But with FBA, they charge you for to pick it and pack it and send it out. So it's a chunk. Sorry, say again?
Is that a set fee, or does that vary depending on the size of the object? Or
it varies on the size, I believe. Yeah. So like with me, sorry,
you know what those fees are going in?
Yeah, and if you don't, you can check them very easily. On the app, it can tell you what the breakdown of the fees will be. And like I say, there is an FBA fee calculator that works it out for you. So yeah, let's have a look. Oh, this chat keeps jumping. Question for Nick. Kay Horsley is asking how much you want for the Furby. Oh, I haven't really looked into him. I don't know. Yeah, private message me on Facebook if you can, and I'll sort it out.
So you do a ton of videos. Do you get much interaction with people wanting to buy an item directly from you?
More so these days, yeah. I think since I had that big video game haul a month or 2 back, and I purposefully said in those videos, because I knew a lot of video game collectors would watch those and find them on YouTube, I said, if there's anything in here you want, message me. And that was quite successful. I didn't get many sales out of it because they all wanted it cheaper than I was prepared to sell it. But I think that opened a door to people that were watching that follow me regularly. And recently I've sold a few things from people just saying, I'd like that, can I have it? Which seems odd to me, because in the same video, I will say, I picked this up for 50 pence. And then people message me and say, how much you want for it? And I'll say £10. Yeah, exactly. It does seem odd, but yeah, it's working.
Do you ever think about doing an online store to sell your things?
What, my own website, you mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
We dabbled in that years ago when we had our own retail store doing all retro gaming and video games and all of that. We set up our own website then, but it was so much harder back then to promote. Social media hadn't took off. There was no Facebook, Twitter, and all of that. And we were just paying for a website that couldn't compete with the traffic on eBay or Amazon. And we couldn't give it enough time that it needed to do all the photos. And so we just dropped it and concentrated on eBay and Amazon. You can't really compete with those 2 platforms, I don't think.
It's true.
Although saying that, these days you can, because with social media, if you build up a bit of a profile, you can sell direct to people that follow you through Facebook and through Pinterest, not Pinterest, what's the other one? What's the one? Instagram. Yes. which my wife is really into, but I've never even been on the website. I don't even know what it is.
I think I tweeted once.
I've tweeted about once. Again, Andrea set me up with a Twitter account, and the only time I used it was to promote that Atari game. I spent a couple of days emailing and tweeting everybody who was vaguely involved in Atari or vintage gaming or whatever worldwide, and it paid off.
Sure did. Holy cow! Yeah, I wouldn't imagine just a normal Google search would have gotten you any information on that.
What you mean when I was trying to find out about it?
Yeah, about that game. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Well, I came so close to letting that go for really cheap because I could not find out anything. To start off with, it looked like an old game that had lost its label and they'd stuck a sticky label on and written a name on it. So I almost chucked it in with a console and bundled it to start with. Then, I don't know, I thought, I'll look at it. I'll search Hardhead Activision Atari because I opened it up actually and it had Activision on the actual circuit board. So I thought, okay, I've got something to go on. And searching that and searching Activision's list of games they ever released, Hardhead didn't exist. And on the year it said, printed on the circuit board, there wasn't a game that even sounded remotely like that. So then I thought maybe it's something special. So I put it on £50 start with £100 buy it now. So it had £100 buy it now on it for about 4 or 5 hours. And then a guy messaged me, an Atari fanatic website owner messaged me and said, hi, strange question, but can I use your pictures? Can I copy your pictures to put on my website? Because there are no pictures of this game. And
So you had taken pictures of the gameplay?
Yeah, I'd taken pictures of the gameplay and of the circuit board and of the cart itself. But as soon as he said, can I borrow your pictures because this has not been seen, first thing I did was go into eBay and take that buy it now off. And at that very moment, another person had messaged me a whole list of questions. Where did you get this? What's the history of it? Blah, 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 blah. And I hadn't had time to answer those. And then I took the buy it now off and then I replied to him and he said, why is the buy it now gone? I want to buy it. So, what a crazy fool. He knew what it was. He knew it was rare. He should have bought it. And if it wasn't right, sent it back.
Exactly. Oh, man, dodged a bullet there. Well done.
So we don't always know what we have. And I'm sure we've all had things in our possession that we've, slipped through the net.
Yep. I have one item like that. I'm sure you have a number of things that you wish you hadn't have sold. I mean, I don't know if you're a collector of your own items or not. I don't tend to collect anything in particular, but stuff I'll just say is cool that I don't want to get rid of. I'll kind of want to hang on to. But there was a number of years ago, I had a rubber toy from the Auburn rubber toy company, whatever, and it was a prototype of a car that was never actually manufactured. But somehow this toy company made a prototype of this car. And I have a video of it. If you go through my videos, you'll see it. And I think it's been a while now, but I had it on auction, and I think a guy emailed me and offered me $75 for it. So I took it, and I'm just wondering, not frequently, certainly. I think about it every once in a while, but what the value of that really was, and if I had been too hasty in just letting it go for $75, because that was probably 15 years ago, and $75 is $75. But people are always trying to lowball you, and I think I kind of wish I hadn't let that one go.
Yeah, it's tricky though, isn't it? Because when you've got an item like that, you're selling it to so few people. Really, aren't you? So it's a case of how do you make them aware that it's available, and then it doesn't have a price, so you're only really going on what they're prepared to pay.
That's true. It doesn't matter how rare it is, it's still what they're willing to pay, because there's only a few of them, and they aren't going to get into any kind of a bidding war, I wouldn't imagine.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing with the Atari car. I didn't have any real expectation of how high it was going to go, but I wanted enough people interested that they would bid, and I got just enough people interested to push it up there. Because
that's a fairly large market, though. Atari, game collectors in general, fairly good market.
Yeah, I guess so. but none of them would have been looking for that title because it didn't exist.
That's true. That's an eclectic group right there that can know that type of
That's right.
information that is available.
Apparently, the Furby is now annoying Malinky. Is it just his beady eyes staring through the screen at you?
Move it closer, Nick. Taunt her.
Yeah, maybe I should. Hang on. Oh, I've got to move. He's cute. What's wrong with you people? Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on which way you look at it, he doesn't have batteries in. But he talks and he moves his ears and he like bends in the middle. Right, there you go, Malinky. How's that? Okay, let me scroll down and see. Oh wow, it's 10 to 7 here already. Right. Wow, so much chat going on. Apologies if I've missed any questions. It's really hard to have a conversation here and then try and read all of this here.
Right.
I've still not mastered that one. Malinky said, "Oh my God, he's fine."
It's just a Furby.
Exactly. You asked during that last conversation, "Am I a collector?" And I used to be a voracious collector of cigarette cards, Matchbox labels, postcards, vintage gaming, lots and lots of stuff. And then once I started reselling, that kind of replaced that, and I sold off a lot of my collections because I wasn't then, the bug for having things and buying things was taken up by reselling, and I lost that passion for collecting. I still have a huge collection of cigarette cards which I inherited from my late grandfather, which I feel I can't really sell and I don't really want to. But apart from that, I don't really collect now. Well, this is my surrogate collection around me.
It's your collection in flux.
Yeah, exactly. I see it that I hold on to this stuff for a period of time, sometimes a week, sometimes 3 years, whatever, and then I move it on.
I still have probably 5,000 comic books. I was rather avid for a while in the early 90s. Me and a friend were just going crazy buying everything we could find, and we were buying directly from distributors. At the time, the comic book market was extremely hot, with new characters coming out and everything, and then it kind of hit the dumpers. But it's been coming back up now since all the Marvel Universe movies and all that. So I do have to go through there because of 5,000 comics, there's probably maybe a couple hundred, 300 that are actually worth keeping and saving for eternity, because that's what you do when you collect, I guess. Yeah. So was comics another thing from your childhood? Is that why you have the interest in the comics? Well, I didn't buy a whole lot of comics when I was a kid. I read a lot of Archies, but I was given those. We didn't have a lot of money as a kid, so I didn't have any extra money to spend on comic books. That all went to candy. But I've always had a passion. I've always liked, Saturday morning cartoons was big for me. So the whole Marvel universe was there on any given Saturday, and it just kind of piqued my interest. And then in the 90s with this friend of mine, we just started collecting, and we weren't just buying new. We'd go to the flea market and buy lots of them. And it was at a time where the market was just starting to pick up, so we got some pretty decent prices on boxes and boxes of things. And then for a number of years, I worked at a video arcade for 10 years, and I would have people come in and want to sell me their comic books in exchange for tokens to play the video games, because that market was extremely hot for a while. So I kind of I won't say I took advantage of the situation, but yeah, I kind of took advantage of the situation. Yeah. But that's what we do as resellers anyway. It's that little entrepreneurial spirit, and without that, you can't really function in this buying and selling world, because we're all taking advantage of the fact that the person selling it perhaps doesn't know what it's worth, or they need to get rid, or whatever their situation is. We are effectively taking advantage of people. Right. But I don't lose any sleep over it, do you? No, because
that they are wanting to sell it anyway. It's not like I'm twisting people's arm and forcing them to sell it to me.
You're not holding a gun to anybody's head. And the thing is, most people are capable of doing the research that we do after the fact. If they don't want to do that before the fact, then that's just to our benefit.
Yeah, and the tools we have at our disposal to sell it are available to everybody. We've all had that conversation with people where they say, this is worth 20 on eBay, and we're like, okay, well, sell it on eBay, and they're like, oh, go on then, I'll take 5.
Yeah.
But okay.
That happen more often. That's probably one of the most annoying things out there right now is when people print out, and I saw you talking the other night with, I forget who it was, a couple of the American pickers, where people will, quote eBay prices or do a printout of an eBay item that hasn't sold. So, that's what they're basing their pricing on, is an item that someone's, shooting for the moon on rather than what is actually sold.
Yeah, everybody's seen that. It's frustrating because it has no basis in reality at all. I did just see a question for you. Oh, I think you touched on this, but we'll cover that again. Ellis Jones asks, how do you find the clips that you play in your videos, as in the, the adverts and the vintage clips?
It's just kind of my imagination at work. I record my video, and then I'll go through it, and something will click in my brain to stop at this point because it reminded me of a commercial. There goes my voice again. Of a commercial that I remember from my past, and I'm still pretty addicted to television, so I've seen thousands and thousands of commercials, and if I can just remember a snippet of a commercial, that's all you really need to do a search on YouTube. Stop! You're taunting me now. Is you don't need much information to get what you need, is I guess what I'm saying. If you have a few keywords, on a watch, if you know it's a Timex vintage commercial, and then you've got any number of old commercials that you can pick from.
Yeah, have you had issues with copyright though? Have you had any copyright strikes because of using?
I have mainly on music clips where I'll use somebody's a piece of film that has got music in the background or whatever, and that more often than not, those are the ones that get me demonetized.
Yeah.
I try and be more careful with that. Not that I've ever made much money off of YouTube, but I still try. I would still rather have it making money than not.
Exactly. Yes, people sometimes do get their knickers in a twist about the fact that we make all this money out of YouTube. It's no, for the amount of time, and especially with your videos that involve a lot of editing and a lot of research and looking around for stuff, that time could be so much better spent, as you know and I know, for the money we get.
Exactly. I think I've only gotten, in all the years I've been doing it, I think I've only gotten like $200 payments, and that's it. I don't have near the amount of viewers you have, so I don't know what you're making, but I certainly am not doing it for the money.
Yeah. Yeah, per time invested, we'd be better off at McDonald's. Let's put it that way.
Spending the time just selling stuff, putting more sales up.
Yes, exactly that. Okay. Somebody's asking me about FBA. How many items do you send up a week or month, and how many unique items in your inventory? It varies a lot. I tend to save a lot of stuff for sort of October, November, which is how I've started doing it. Particularly now I'm charged storage fees. A couple of years ago when I started, I sent everything up, set it at the price I wanted in say December, and waited. Now with the monthly storage fees and the long-term storage fees, it's better sat here, and then I will send it up in bulk in October. So in October, I might send up a couple of thousand items, whereas now I'm sending up 2 or 3 boxes a month at 15 kilos of stuff. So I don't know how many items that is, but yeah, just as and when I've got the stock, I'm sending it up now, as long as it's fast moving. And then stuff that's Christmas related, all of this gear up here, I'm hanging on to.
Where do you typically get all those multiple games? Where do you find those?
You mean the board game things here? Yeah, car boot sales and some from charity shops.
I mean, I see a lot of duplications. Are those all used and verified complete and everything by you, or are they sealed?
A bit of both, mostly used. There are some sealed ones up there, and yeah, they will be checked, and I will put little sticky notes on to say that it's complete and checked or what it's missing, and then I make them up if they're missing the odd 1 or 2 bits. But yeah, most of this is for Amazon, eBay stuff. If it's board games, typically I will list on eBay and wait, because there's no storage fee on eBay. It can sit on my shelf. Listed stuff tends to be over here. It can sit there for a year and it doesn't really cost me anything apart from the relist fee.
Right.
So yeah, but this stuff is just building up, waiting.
How big is your store on eBay? How many items do you have on eBay at any given time?
Not a great deal. It hovers around 500.
Yeah.
But I do have a lot of listings that have multiple stuff on. When I buy big job lots like this sort of stuff, I might have, I don't know how many listings of bottles, but there could be 20 bottles on one listing. Same with trading cards and other stuff.
Okay.
I'll have multiples.
That's a fair amount.
Yeah. But I know people that have stores with thousands and thousands of listings in, but I've never got to that level. But I have generally faster turnover than people that would have a bigger store with more stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, what sort of numbers do you operate on eBay?
Right around the 300.
Yeah.
300 pieces at any time.
Yeah.
I think I'm at 330 right now. I think this is as high as I've been, and it means I need to go through and mark some things down, because that's just too many to have up there. And I've got a lot of things that have been up there way too long, so it's time to either have a sale or do some serious markdowns. Yeah,
I'm doing that more regularly these days. But when I'm talking about numbers again, we may have 400 or 500 things listed, but that could equate to 2,000 or 3,000 items because we have them. So yeah, and it works for us. And also because we do Amazon as well, eBay accounts for about 50% of what we make. So I don't need the big numbers because Amazon props us up now, which is great.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah,
that's great.
Well, we've been going an hour, believe it or not.
That was fast.
I know. They always go quick. So unless there's any more questions that come in, I've exhausted my little post-it notes. Which is good. I think we covered most of my questions just chatting anyway, which is kind of how it goes, which is good. So yeah, I guess we'll wrap this up. If you've joined us late, Zahir wasn't with us, obviously. He should be back next week. We do have another guest lined up, which I'm looking forward to. I will keep that a secret until then. I just want to thank Joe for coming on. It's been a long time that I've been looking forward to this happening, and perhaps we'll do it again sometime.
That was great. Good fun.
Good. And we didn't even get one interruption, did we?
I'm shocked. I would have put money on probably 3 or 4 at least. I didn't even get a ring on my phone here.
Yeah. You sure they're not all outside the door listening with cups?
It's very possible. I'll have to sneak over there and open it rapidly and watch them all fall in.
Or they're all crowded around a TV somewhere watching.
Nah,
probably not. Okay, well, thank you everyone for your questions in the chat. Apologies if we didn't get around to answering the questions. Thanks for joining us. We peaked at around 150 viewers, I think, so that's pretty good. And as I said before, there will be a link below shortly after this video is on my channel to go over and check Joe's out. If you want to go over and check him out now, copy the Mypacrat name that should be in the title, drop that into YouTube and you can find it straight away. Yeah. So there we go. Thanks.
All right. Well, thanks, Nick. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Yeah. Thanks for joining me. Sorry, say again.
I said, well, if I don't catch you Sunday, then I'll hopefully catch you on next Tuesday.
Yeah. Yeah, we will be back on Sunday. I believe we have like a yard sale trail thing going on Saturday, I think. So hopefully we'll have a few interesting items we pick up from that to share with you all on Sunday. So yeah, that's it. We are done. Thanks again, Joe, and we'll catch you all soon.
All right, take care, Nick.
Take care. Bye.